It's gonna be one of those. I remember seeing the original Fast and Furious movie, the one that started this whole thing back in 2001, so 22 years ago now. Oh my god, 22 years, how did that happen? And as I walked out afterward, I thought to myself, man, that movie kicked ass. That was so much fun, they gotta make a sequel to that thing. Fast forward to today, and it's kinda depressing how it's all ended up, because for the last, well, several movies now, Fast and Furious has just become a parody of itself. And I understand that as you get deeper and deeper into a franchise, it's gonna get more difficult to keep things fresh. That's natural, especially when you're 10 movies in. But when you've run the wells so dry for new ideas that all you can come up with is a narrative that keeps repeating the same basic stuff over and over, that gets stupider each time you do it, and keeps treading water and going nowhere for no other reason than to keep making more sequels that are inevitably going to have all the same problems, then it's probably time to write Fast and Furious off as the mindless cash grab it's become and just fucking end it already. And I say that knowing that the supposed point of this movie is that they're finally approaching the end of the Fast saga, but I call bullshit on that. They were supposed to end with 2, but Vin Diesel's already saying that it might be 3 now, and as long as they're still making money, you know they'll just keep going after that. Which is pretty ironic because it's been obvious for quite some time, it was really fucking obvious with Fast 9, that this franchise has nowhere left to go. And after Fast 9, none of this is surprising. That movie literally had a major subplot about how all the characters are invincible and can't die, can't get hurt. Surprise, surprise, it was really fucking dumb. And I think they realized that because they do walk back on it in this movie, but just barely. And by that I mean, they're still invincible, they just stopped mentioning it and hoped everyone forgot. Sorry guys, but I'm not forgetting that shit. And if you think you can just move on from it without someone holding your feet to the fire, think again. The sheer metric ton of bullshit these characters walk into and miraculously survive somehow in this movie is so ridiculous, it's not even cartoon physics anymore, now they're just telling physics in general to eat shit. Dom can be at ground zero of an explosion so powerful that it's supposed to level everything within 10 city blocks or something like that. It certainly destroys everything around Dom, and not only does he walk away from it without a scratch, his car even still works afterward. At one point, Dom flips over a car single-handedly. And I don't mean single-handedly as in he did it by himself, I mean he did it with a single hand. Didn't even need both of them. That's how far removed from reality we are now. Cars are more powerful than tanks, human bodies are bomb-proof, and fucking Superman has got nothing on Dominic Toretto. If you say so, Vin. And around the 4th or 5th time I flipped off the screen out of sheer incredulity at what I was watching, I started to ask myself a lot of questions. Basic questions about the nature of Fast and Furious and how we got here. And this pretty quickly led me to Dwayne Johnson. We learned a while back, in fact I think it was in a featurette for a previous Fast movie that I learned this, that when Johnson signs on for a movie, he has it written in his contract that his character cannot lose any fights. He never loses fights, period. That's in his contract. And I couldn't have been more than an hour into this movie when I started thinking that every single cast member, at least all the long-timers, the ones in the family, must have that same contract. So I started paying closer attention every time there was a fight scene just to be certain about this, and sure enough, I don't think there's any time, at any point in this movie, where one of the good guys loses a fight. The plot armor is so far off the scale it doesn't even register anymore. You could literally throw 20 dudes with machine guns at one of them by themselves and unarmed, and every time, without fail, they will win the fight. They will defeat those 20 dudes with machine guns probably very easily. They won't even get injured. I was keeping track of that too. There is one instance, where one of the characters gets injured, and not even a serious injury either. It's a little thing in the shoulder. It's fixed in 5 seconds, so it's meaningless. And it wasn't even in a real fight either. It's part of a fake out they were staging. That was it. If you've been in this franchise for more than, like, 2 movies, then for all intents and purposes, you are It is so ridiculous that they have to introduce new characters just so they have people to injure because no one on the team can get hurt anymore. Plot armor, which, by the way, seems to extend to Charlize Theron now too, just in case you were wondering if they were ever gonna finish things with Cypher. Not a fucking chance. She'll probably be on the team herself pretty soon. And I don't get it. I don't understand why these movies are so terrified of taking the kid gloves off and getting rid of any of these characters. Especially when the films have become so damn bloated and clearly don't have any ideas left for any of them. The cast just keeps getting bigger and bigger and they just keep adding more and more characters, and I swear to God, they have no fucking clue what to do with like 90% of them at this point. Major chunks of this movie involve them just splitting up the characters who don't really matter that much and sending them off to one different globe-trotting location after another just so they can meet up with more characters who do just as little, if not less, than they do. And after a while, it becomes so disjointed, with so many different people to keep track of, with so many meaningless subplots and locations where they all were all over the planet, that I almost started to lose track of what the story even was. Outside of Dom and Letty, and frankly, even with those two, it's a stretch, I don't think the producers have ever had an actual plan or arc for any of these people that spanned more than one movie at a time. Perfect example, John Cena. When he shows up, you may start wondering pretty quickly who the f this guy is, because he sure as hell doesn't feel like the guy from Fast 9. Jacob's entire personality is so different now, he's basically a whole new character. But maybe I shouldn't complain about that too much, because at least he had a plot that kind of mattered. That's more than you can say for a lot of these people, which is really fucking annoying, because the plot armor has become so overwhelming that all it's doing is weighing everything down. Why the hell would you go so far as to bring a dead character back to life, retconning one of the very few meaningful deaths in the franchise when you had nothing, and I mean nothing, for that person to do? We're now a full movie removed from them bringing Han back, and they still have not come up with a single reason why that was worth doing. He had nothing to do in Fast 9, has nothing to do here. The big confrontation with him and Jason Statham, one scene. One fucking scene, and then they just move on and never mention it again. Because that's no big deal, right? It's only the whole reason why Han was fucking dead in the first place. We don't need to dwell on that. And that right there speaks to a much larger problem with these movies. So terrified are they of killing anyone off permanently, so obsessed are they with raising the specter of characters they previously killed off, that death has become absolutely meaningless. And yeah, they've been kind of straddling that fence for years, but they burned off all their free passes a long time ago. Letty, sure, she died off-screen in between movies, so that one they could get away with. But then they just kept on doing it, and they're still doing it now! And every time it happens, the bullshit meter just gets cranked up even higher! Not a single dead character is off limits. And if there's a dead character who, for whatever reason, they can't bring back to life, they just introduce a close family member of theirs and have that person fill the same spot until it's like the dead person never left. You could make a drinking game out of it at this point. Death means f***ing nothing in these movies anymore. Fast and Furious might be the first film franchise I've ever seen where Deus Ex Machinas aren't just a storytelling device, they're the entire storytelling engine the movies are based on. Everyone is invincible, even retroactively so they can resurrect from beyond the f***ing grave. None of them even come close to losing a goddamn fight, to the point where the fights just become boring because you never once think they're in trouble, and absolutely anything the plot needs to get from point A to point B, that thing, whatever it is, just appears out of nowhere like f***ing magic. There's so little here that feels like it genuinely matters at this point. And on those rare occasions when they try to show you that something does matter, it instantly fizzles out because you just don't buy it anymore. The movie ends on a cliffhanger with the fates of multiple characters being left in question, and it was so f***ing flimsy I almost felt sorry for them. The producers, not the characters. No need to be scared for the characters. The whole thing happens off screen, so spoiler, they're gonna be fine. And if they're not, don't worry, I'm sure they'll come back to life after about 20 minutes just like every f***ing other dead character in these movies. That all being said, they did tease in the trailers that someone might not come back from this one, and I didn't believe it for a second. How do you kill someone when you just made them all invincible? But they do try to follow through on that actually. And when they did, I just wanted to call bullshit on the whole damn thing. That was the 6th time I flipped off the screen. You seriously expect me to feel sad about this? You want to milk this for emotional pathos now, when you're bringing dead characters back to life all over the goddamn place? Motherfucker, I would empty my bank account and bet every dollar I have in the world right now on that character coming back in Fast 11. So kiss my ass if you think you're gonna play that card at this stage of the game. The one damn time they actually seemed to try to do something real, and it fell as flat as anything else in the movie. And speaking of flat things, Brie Larson. I mean the character she's playing. Grow up. Yeah, no surprises here at all. Brie Larson plays exactly the character everybody thought she would. The boss bitch who has an asshole male superior who doesn't respect her, so she goes rogue and kicks a whole lot of ass, and all the people on the team instantly respect her and tell her how awesome she is, and her only flaw is that she's so awesome she doesn't realize how awesome she is until the other characters make her believe it. Way to step outside your comfort zone and try something different, Brie. Jesus Christ.
Game recognizes game.
God, that is the corniest fucking line. Stop putting it in screenplays. So yeah, not shockingly, she's pretty annoying. Thankfully, she's not in the movie all that much though. And since it's only her first Fast and Furious movie, that means she doesn't have the plot armor yet, but you can kind of see where her story is going, so I expect she'll be getting it pretty soon. Woohoo. There are a couple bright spots though, like, believe it or not, Little Brian. Little kid actors that almost never turns out well, but I'll be damned. I don't know where they found this kid, but he's probably one of the better things in the movie. And it's not a small role either, he's in there for a lot of it. There's stuff that's gotta be pretty daunting for someone that age, and he does everything the movie asks of him. The kid is actually a really good actor here. He did great. It probably helps that a lot of his stuff was with John Cena, because Cena's good with kids, but he held up his end, and I had no complaints about Little Brian. It was kind of shocking. Also, Jason Momoa pretty much runs away with the whole movie. He plays kind of the polar opposite of Dom here. He's loudmouthed, colorful, very flamboyant, got tons of personality, and when the movie works at all, it's usually because of him. I do think he leans into the flamboyant stuff too hard a few times and gets close to turning the character into a joke, but the whole franchise is basically a joke now anyway, so who cares? When Momoa's being serious though, he's a great villain. He's very formidable. It is kinda lame that they had to introduce him by haphazardly retconning him into a previous film, but shit, it's hardly the first time they've done that. No new ideas, remember? And there aren't many more positives I can come up with. It's well directed, I guess. The action exists. There's nothing really wrong with how the action's staged except that it gets completely f***ing ridiculous. And it's never exciting because you know nobody can get hurt and there are no stakes. So no matter how good the action is, you just don't care. Start to finish, Fast X is an incredibly stupid movie. It's dumb, it's ridiculous, it's loaded with nonsensical bullshit, and worst of all, it's just not fun. I think the best thing I can say about it is that they seem to understand that they got too crazy with Fast 9, so they tried to rein this one back into pre-Fast 9 levels of craziness, and I think they succeeded with that at least. This is better than Fast 9 was, but it's too late. The damage is done. Hell, the damage started before Fast 9, and there's no stopping it now. It's like Star Wars at this point. Unless you can go back in time and make the Disney trilogy not exist anymore, then it's f***ing broken. That's where I'm at with Fast and Furious now. It's gone so far off the reservation that I don't see how they can bring it back. And as long as these movies keep printing money, they won't even try to. They'll just continue doing what they've been doing, no matter how far down the rabbit hole that takes them. And hey, look, clearly Fast and Furious is not for me anymore. I accept that. If you don't mind having to leave your brain at the door to enjoy these things, or that they stopped making any kind of sense several movies ago, or that they have way more characters than they know what to do with and just keep adding more all the time, or that they're not even trying to tell a good story anymore, congratulations, I'm sure you'll love this one too. But for me, the unstoppable magical power of family and invincible cars has just worn off. So I'll watch them to review them as long as this is my job. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and while you're here, do all the other YouTube things. Ding the bell icon and follow my social media to be notified when I upload new stuff. The links are down there. And most importantly, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, subscribe, and make sure you're still subscribed, because what really deserves to be smashed into a million pieces when an indestructible car drops out of a plane and lands right on top of them is the YouTube algorithm. That's all for now, but I'll be back with more soon. So take care, stay tuned, I'll see you next time.